guys, welcome back to my channel. Now today's video is super different. This is the story that I've been holding on to for a few years. The story that I'm about to tell is probably gonna be really emotional because I don't know, I just need to get through this story and I need to talk about it. Let's go ahead and jump into this video. So this whole story started a few years ago and I was dating this guy. After a few dates, he was like, I want you to meet my grandfather. We weren't in a relationship, so I was kind of like nervous to meet his grandfather. I hardly even know this guy. He already wants me to meet his grandfather. But he said, when you meet my grandfather, act like you are my girlfriend. So he wanted his grandfather to believe that we were in a relationship when we weren't, which was the first red flag. But I didn't even think anything of it. I just agreed to meet his grandfather. Now, his grandfather always goes to the casino because his senior citizen home drops him at the casino every single week. We went to the casino and as I walked in, he was like, okay, now we need to search for my grandfather. He has a hearing problem, so he can't hear that well. So we're walking around searching for his grandfather, like, where is this man? So we're walking down this one aisle and walking down the opposite end is his grandfather. Now he is a really old man. He had white gray hair and he was really short and walked really slow. So I remember we meet up and he says hi. He's so friendly to me. He thought that I was super beautiful and he was happy that his grandson had a girlfriend like me, which was so cute and so loving. So we ended up sitting down at this slot machine and his grandfather was in the middle. I was on one side and then the guy that I was dating was on the other side, and his grandfather wanted both of us to play the casino game with him. Every time he played the game, he would point at us and be like, it's your turn to play. No, it's your turn to play. We would take turns pressing the button. So after we played in the casino for a little while, he decided to go on to like the smoking area so that he can smoke his cigar. Now, I'm not a smoker, but I really wanted to spend more time with his grandfather because, I don't know, it was something about his grandfather that just lit up my world and I just really enjoyed his presence. So we're standing out there, he's smoking his cigar and he's talking about, oh, back in the day I owned this club and all of the girls was all over me and I had so much money. I'm like, oh my god, this man was a pimp back in the day. Like, he just seemed like a ladies' man back in the day. Oh my god, y'all, that just really scared me. My umbrella light just started shaking. Now I'm starting to think like his spirit is in my room. Oh my god, I'm scared. Grandpa Vince, if you're here, I'm sorry, but I need to tell this story. Whew, that scared the crap out of me. Anyway, I was just really interested in hearing more about his life. So I would literally sit there, even though he was smoking and stuff, I would sit there and just listen to this man's life. If you have an old person in your life, listen to their stories because they literally have the best stories. So to make a long story short, we went back and forth to this casino every single week. And this one time we sit down at a casino game and this man, he finally wins $3,000. Now this was the most that I've ever seen this guy win and probably the most that maybe the most he's ever won at the casino. Everybody was so happy that he fulfilled his dreams. That was my last good memory of, I will say good memory of him at the casino, because next thing I know is we haven't heard from him for a few days. We get a phone call from the senior citizen home saying that he fell and he bumped his head and he had to go back to the hospital. So this hospital that they transferred him to was really far away and he was stuck at this hospital all alone. He didn't have any family members. He didn't have anybody. He was literally counting on us. Oh, it's kind of emotional because he was one of those guys that no one really liked. I'm just gonna be honest. His family didn't like him. The only person in his family that liked him was his grandson, and that was the guy that I was dating. But every single one of his family members turned their back on him. So he only had me and his grandson to count on. That's all he can count on. It put a lot of weight on our shoulders when he got sick. So I just remember arriving at the hospital. We get there, we walk upstairs, and I just remember just crying. What happened? So we get into the room and he's laying on the bed and he was out of it. You can really see on his face like he didn't have too much longer left in him. I just remember sitting there looking at him like, wow, This is my first time seeing someone and thinking that, oh, they might not be here tomorrow. Like, he might die right here. Because he kept drifting off to sleep. And we kept saying, wake up, wake up, wake up. And I was scared that he was going to die right there in front of me. So he ended up recovering from that situation and he went back to his nursing home. It broke my heart because he had to be pushed around in a wheelchair. So this happy-go-lucky man now was restricted to a wheelchair, and we literally had to push him around. A few weeks passed and everything seemed to be getting better. And then we decided to visit him in his senior citizen home. We ended up going to another room to help him eat. So as we're sitting at the table with him, he's sitting next to me, and they had like this little puzzle, and Family Feud was on the TV. It was just a really calm atmosphere. As we're sitting there with him, he looks at us and he tells us that he was passing by the cafeteria and he saw one of his friends in the cafeteria. Now, the crazy thing is the friend that he was talking about had passed away. So I don't know how he was saying that he saw his friend when his friend was already gone. He literally was saying without a shadow of a doubt, he saw the guy who passed away in the cafeteria, which really creeped me out because it's like, can people foresee like ghosts, spirits and stuff? So then a few months passed and we called the senior citizen home to check on him because we haven't heard from him in a few days. He didn't show up to go to the casino, so we really didn't know what was going on. So I just remember calling the hospital in the area and they said that he went to a hospital. We called a hospital where they said that he went to, but the crazy thing is they said that they didn't have a patient there by that name. So I am literally freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, where is he? How don't you have a patient by that name? I am literally trying to hold back the tears. Okay, so they said that they didn't have a patient by that name at that hospital. Oh my God, this is hard. It was as if he was missing and no one knew where he was. But we knew he was in the hospital because we called the senior citizen home and they said he was in the hospital. We found out which hospital he was at. We answered the phone and they said he was in surgery. He had to have surgery. The person on the phone said, you need to come down to the hospital right away because it doesn't look good. So we rushed down to the hospital. We get there and I see him in the room. I just remember thinking to myself, this might be the last time I ever see this man alive. I grab his hand. I could feel that he wasn't gone. I could feel that he wasn't gonna be there much longer. He was still feeling like mentally he was still okay because he was talking about the nurses and how beautiful the nurses were and how nice they were. But I just remember just thinking to myself like, this is the last time I'm ever going to see him. When I said goodbye to him and I gave him that hug, I just remember just being frozen. He was fighting a hard fight. He kept going back and forth to the hospital. I would say a few weeks later, I had a dream. And in my dream, it was him in a hospital. He was on a stretcher and he was going through these double doors and there were two nurses on the side of him. He was saying goodbye, goodbye. Now in the dream, it was this little girl he showed me, which I believe was my daughter in the dream. And for some reason he showed me her, which I didn't get. I didn't understand. But he showed me this little girl, which is so crazy because if I have a daughter someday, I feel like he was showing me my future. And I woke up and I remember I spoke to the guy that I was dating at the time and he said to me, he's died a few days ago. And I just didn't know how to tell you he died. So he died and I never got a chance to say goodbye to him. If you've ever lost anyone that you loved, then you know how hard it was for me to talk about this. But thank you guys so much for listening to me. I love you so very much and I will see y'all again tomorrow. Bye.